Institutional racism, also known as systemic racism, is a form of racism that is embedded as normal practice within society or an organization. It can lead to such issues as discrimination in criminal justice, employment, housing, healthcare, political power, and education, among other issues. The testimonials from these 4 elite octogenarians will convey their experiences with systemic racism from their past to their present. If you'll open your heart and listen, please. If you'll open your heart, listen, please.
I'm Mahmoud El Kati. I was born, like everybody else, came out of the womb in Savannah, Georgia in 1933 of October.
My name is Josie Johnson. I will be 90 years old, October 7, 2020. I was born October 7, 1930 in Houston, Texas.
My name is William Irving English, but I prefer Bill. Only my mother was allowed to call me William, and she only called me that when she was angry. Otherwise, my nickname was Sonny. S-O-N. I was the firstborn of 12 kids.
My name is Sallie Steele Birdsong, and I have 6 children. I won't tell my age because I hope I don't look it. Hey, but anyway, I was born in Macomb, Mississippi, and I left there at the age of 14, which is a good place to be from. I have 17 grandchildren, and I have 30 great-grandchildren. So you can imagine how grateful I am and how proud I am.
Systemic racism is inbred in the way this United States came into existence. Now, the framers of this Constitution were idealists, and they wrote a beautiful document, the most profound document since the Bible. It started that all men are created equal. Now, you can't start off with that line and justify the slavery that occurred after that. Slavery was an economic thing. They couldn't enslave the Indians because the Indians knew the territory and they fought. So the next best thing was to go to Africa and enslave. And so the British and those who were colonizing the United States, and they find it interesting that the first man to die in their war for freedom was a black man, Crispus Attucks.
Systemic racism is etched in the fabric of American life. It is behavior and treatment in every possible interaction of human beings. It's a system that continues to redefine who Black people are, and in the laws, policies, behavior of American society.
Systemic racism still exists in this country today. How does it exist? Voter oppression. You want to keep us from voting. We found when we got to vote, we begin to change the face of America.
Thank God for those wonderful women for Black Lives Matter. That's the genie that got out of the bottle. You did it right. Yes. These are not riots. These are not riots in the street. There are no more riots than the rebellions of Black people, of Denmark Vesey, of Nat Turner, of Cato, who burned down New York in 1641. These are slaves. rebellion. There are over 250 recorded slave rebellions. What is happening in the streets of America is a natural product of historical struggle of black people, the same struggle. It's another chapter in the struggle for black people's freedom. You dismiss that, you defame it and say it's right. It's not right, we know what's going on. People in think tanks, and there are 2,200 of them in this country, know these are not riots. These are legitimate revolts against the oppressive system that they're learning to call now systemic racism. That's a nice name, but black people named it a long time ago. In Paul Robeson's day, it was called the white power structure. That's what you call it. You know, and the brother on the street, would call it the man. That means not a man. It means the structure of America, the schools, the banks, all of the important cultural institutions. That's the man.
Our first home that we wanted to build, when the man came out and was talking to us about it, and he told us, he said, now, you're going to have to pay more. Your interest rate's going to be more to build this house. So it wasn't no way in the world with one person working, and at that time we had 4 children, that we could do that, We had a shorter mortgage and everything, and he told us, that white people got longer mortgages, less interest and everything than what we would get. So it didn't feel good to hear that.
Was driving home, listening to some cool jazz as I normally do. And it was a nice April day, and there was a little rain that night, so I had it on cruise at 62 miles an hour. This cop pulls me over after I turn on Rockford Road. Pulled me over the side and said, you were driving 70 miles an hour. Okay, you gonna give me a ticket, go ahead. So I pulled over, he pulled my stuff out, looked at my driver's license, went back, I didn't have no tickets. So he came back and he said, I need to see your car registration. So because it was a rental car and I had mine. So he said, how you long lived in Plymouth? And I said, why? It's on my address. How long I lived there is none of your business. He said, well, why are you driving a rental car? I lost it. I said, because I can afford it, mother. My Lexus is in the shop. He looked at me and he said, you don't need to talk to me like that. I said, profanity is not against the law. So if you want to give me a ticket for cursing, go ahead, because I sure cursed you. And he wrote me the ticket, he gave me the ticket anyway, and I drove off and my knees started trembling like a dog. I realized I could have died right there. That was stupid on my part.
Javita used to live right here on Vincent, and her alarm went off, and this girl that she was keeping for her to go to school here tripped the alarm, and she forgot the password. And so Javita was in California. So, of course, I was the closest one to Javita, so I was the first one the alarm company would call. So they called me. So when I got down there, I saw, okay, she's in the house. She's trying to get the alarm off. Okay. So I didn't even go in the house. And Stephanie, the girl next door to Javita, she was working in the front yard. I was standing there talking to her. Well, in the meantime, they had called the police. I saw them pass back there. And then they went in the alley and came through between the house, and both of them pulled a gun on me and told me to put my hands up in the air. Now here I am, 65 years old, and they telling me to put my hands up, and I'm talking to this white woman right here. And I said to Stephanie, I said, Stephanie, tell them who I am. Do you think she told them? Never said it. She just said, oh, she don't look like a burglar. He said, you can't look at him and tell. I felt like somebody had stripped me buck naked out there. I was so angry, and I never put my hands up. So when I got home and told my husband about it, he said, honey, they could have killed you. I didn't care at the time. I really didn't. I didn't care. I just did not care anymore. And it took me years to get beyond that. And I don't trust policemen today. No, I don't. Because what I've been through. I don't care how educated you are. I don't care how hard you work. It doesn't matter. Not to everybody, but some. Everybody's not the same, and I know that. But just talking about what I've experienced, you know. And I pray constantly. I don't want to ever hate anybody because hatred will destroy you. So I have to not dwell on those types of things, you know. Yeah. But it doesn't say that it doesn't hurt you, you know. But no, I can't hate them. I have to continue to move forward. Yeah.
I can remember when I was in college and went home for the first summer, and my mother and I went to a department store. And I remember the sales girl coming up to us and saying, "What can I do for you girls?" And I remember saying to her, "My mother is a woman, a grown woman. I may be a girl, but you need to know who you're talking to." And I remember just being irate that she had the nerve to refer to my mother as a girl. So it was that kind of self-assuredness that we grew up believing. It never occurred to us that we needed to feel inferior, because somehow our family was able to keep us above the fray of white supremacy. I think it helped me appreciate my sense of value. I did not have to feel that we needed to hate white people in order to feel good about who we were.
You're up against an ideology. I mentioned that the word nigger came from the mouth of a 4-year-old child. Her mother coaxed her to do that as we were walking down the street. As time went on, I learned that no white person comes out of the womb saying nigger, nigger, nigger. He's taught that. It's part of the cultural norm any more than, you know, King was right. You have to be taught to love in a certain way. You know, I don't mean it's a certain way you have to be taught certain things. You have to be taught to hate. And no child 4 years old know what nigger is. She was saying what her mother taught her. The cultural milieu of her racist heritage caused that. Every black person has things to say. That's why you got to get to the bottom of it. You know, little incidents, what Du Bois called a series of little meannesses. They come at you every day. My grandmother and I going into a little old grocery store. There were always a few whites in all black communities, as you know, with the store on the corner. We go in there and it's known what the humiliation that black people endure. We walk in the store and the man has a parrot. And guess what the parrot says? Nigger stealing, nigger stealing, nigger stealing, nigger stealing. The man, who taught the parrot to say that?
What is being said, and how do you translate it, and how do you correct it, and how do you help your children not accept what is being systematically taught and said on a regular basis? It's not easy. It's not easy because it shows up in so many ways.
We have to continue to be the good citizens we are. We have to overcome systemic poverty by demanding investment in our communities. But white people have to solve racism. We can't solve that. I'll dialogue about it. But they have to solve their own racism. They have to accept our humanity, that we're human beings.
I'm not greater than you, and you're not greater than I am. You're no better than I am. But it's so much hatred being taught, lies being told. I'm supposed to love even my enemy. And that's not easy. Hating somebody or trying to figure out how to get somebody, you know? You don't have that. You have peace. And peace is one of the greatest things you can have. Along with love, my God, you got it. You ain't got to worry about nothing then. Yeah.
The future of this world belongs to everyone. And that future depends on to what extent and by what means we liberate ourselves from a vocabulary which cannot now bear the weight of reality. That's this moment. We all speak the vocabulary of white supremacy, white, black, and everybody in between. You've got to destroy that before anybody is free. We're trying to speak to principalities and powers. I ask you to stop the madness. Stop the bleeding. I can't. Only white people can do this.